This story is going to break the illusion of problems. We think that our life is filled with so many problems, but the reality is, most of the time, there are just few. This story will show how we can come out from this illusion. Once there was a scholar who was quite good in his work. People used to admire him a lot, and because of this, he used to take much pride in his work. He used to consider himself the leading figure in his field. But one day something strange happened. He came across criticism against him first time ever in his life. As it was the first time, so he took it lightly and moved on. But very soon another critic hit him, and then another. After a while, it seemed as if everyone was disliking his work. This negativity affected him greatly. He found himself thinking about it all the time, feeling so angry that he had no peace of mind. So finally he decided he needed to take time off to get away from it all. So he traveled to a distant mountain inn, planning to stay there for a week. The innkeeper welcomed him warmly and took him to the guest lodge. His room was simple but comfortable and offered a view of a beautiful pond. Reaching there, he felt that he made the right choice coming here. This was exactly what he needed. The very next morning, the innkeeper found that the scholar was up early and looked even more tired than the previous day. So he asked the scholar if he had a restful night. But the scholar shook his head and said, "I had a tough time falling asleep. There must be 100 frogs in the pond right outside my window. They carried on croaking all night." The innkeeper was sympathetic and said, "I'm sorry to hear that. Many guests tell us that they find the sound of nature, including the frogs, to be soothing and relaxing." But the scholar said, "To me it was the opposite. It is ironic since I came here specifically to find peace and quiet. How can I do that with all the noise from 100 frogs?" Then the innkeeper thought for a while and then said, "How about if we set out traps to catch the frogs today and move them to a nearby lake? That way they won't be around tonight to disturb you." Listening this idea, the scholar said, "I really doubt about it, because there are far too many frogs in that pond. I don't think you can catch them all." But the innkeeper seemed quite confident and said, "Worry not, we will catch as many as we can." That night, the scholar thought there might be a bit less noise from fewer frogs, but to his surprise, he heard no croaking at all. He was finally able to get the rest he needed. The next morning, he went to the innkeeper to thank him for a quiet night. Feeling curious, the scholar asked, "How were you able to catch so many frogs yesterday? That must have taken a lot of work." Listening this, the innkeeper laughed and said, "You give us too much credit. There were only 3 frogs, so it didn't take much time or effort." The scholar couldn't believe his ears and said, "Only 3 frogs? That can't be right. I heard many more than that. As I told you, it sounded like 100 frogs." Then the innkeeper said calmly, "That might be your mind magnifying the sounds made by a few. It really was just 3 frogs, but in your state of agitation, you might have multiplied them until they seemed far greater in number." At that time, the truth dawned on the scholar, and he said, "So the 100 frogs were just an illusion in my mind." The innkeeper nodded and said, "As soon as you see through the illusion, the many become the few, and its power to disturb your peace disappears." You also must have felt the same situation in your life, that we create the illusion of many problems, though there are just few. The message from this story is that our perception of reality is often influenced by our state of mind. The scholar, consumed by negativity and criticism, magnified the noise of a few frogs until it seemed like 100. Similarly, in our life, our worries, fears, and anxieties can distort our perception and make small issues appear much larger than they actually are. It is essential to cultivate a calm and clear state of mind, free from attachment and aversion, in order to see things as they truly are. By letting go our illusions and seeing through the distortions of our mind, we can find inner peace regardless of external circumstances. Thanks for watching. You may also enjoy this story. Till then, stay healthy, stay happy. Peace.